So what we didn't know, in Ethiopia, when a traffic cop blows a whistle, it means you stop and stop immediately. So us guys are thinking, Uko, we are celebs as we are riding. So we ride a kilometer ahead, and as we're approaching the barrier, this is the main barrier out of the town, there is a barricade at the barrier, and we are stopped by security officers. The ride from Bulehora to Addis was very discouraging. The group was very dejected because Blixen is not with us. The team, you could see, the team was deflated, completely deflated. It's one of the most boring portions of this trip for me because, you know, we have intercoms and we keep cracking jokes while we're riding to keep the ride spiced up. That was a quiet ride. The guys hardly spoke the whole time till Addis.
I land in Nairobi, I think at 1 a.m. my friends come for me. I go to the hospital. I have to undergo like 2 surgeries. One of the things that I'm grateful for is that people showed up for me. That for a minute I was really able to focus on getting well. Like seeing people travel from, like I think I landed, my mom landed immediately. People really came through for me, and I had a lot of reassurance to focus on treatment.
And then when we were being told about getting into Addis, we were told about the Addis Expressway. And the guy who told us about it told us, in fact, you can get on the expressway, you get to Addis quicker, you get to Addis in time. So we get on the expressway and we get to, the expressway entrance. And the guy tells us, no bikes are allowed in the expressway, please turn back. We turned back, and the road we got into, I kid you not, that was the longest, hardest road. What would have taken us an hour took us 3.5 hours to make it into Addis. We got into Addis at night. That's what we didn't want. It was very discouraging because everything we thought would work did not quite work in that sense. So, but guess what? We had a surprise waiting for us in Addis.
A gracious, beautiful lady by the name of Grace. She arranged for our stay in Addis Ababa at the Hilton. So that was so unexpected because Revnif kept saying, oh, there's a Kenyan who's arranged accommodation, so don't you guys worry, we are sorted. But we didn't know it's going to be the Hilton banner. Who features that?
So we're riding into the Hilton, and guess what? The Kenyan ambassador to Ethiopia has waited 3.5 hours for us at the Hilton with a Kenyan delegation, the embassy staff. They are waiting. That you're received at a hotel like dignitaries. It was so exciting, just riding there, seeing Ambassador George, Orina, Safari, and the whole team from Ethiopia waiting for us, and Grace. It was at the end of a difficult day. It was another amazing, reassuring opportunity.
They had a dinner prepared for us. We had dinner together. We go to catch up with the ambassador and everything, tell him about our trip. He was so excited. Then he invited us now to his residence the next day. And he had also prepared a wonderful meal for us. And he had other Kenyan diplomats who were working there, Kenyan diaspora, and there were some other people from the church. And they pledged some money to help educate some children, which is really, really good. The
Kenyan embassy organized for us to go to the Africa Union headquarters. That was exciting. That was unique. So we leave Addis, and we got our first puncture, but our first 2 punctures as we're leaving Addis. So our exit was delayed because of that. Had to sort it out, took another 3 hours or so. Then took off. We were trying to make it as far away as possible, but we couldn't make it as far. We went to a town called Awash. And it was getting to nightfall. It was, getting late. So we had to, settle in.
So we go to Awash, and when you get somewhere and you just take off all your gear and you're done, So now they told us the hotel is fully booked. I'm like, what? We just asked you and you said there's rooms, and now you're saying it's fully booked. Okay, fine. So we had to gear up again. It came to a point me and Budia, we just sat. Revnik and Leo, they went looking for hotels, and we're like, when you find one, you come and tell us, because you can't keep going from hotel to hotel. So we managed to get a room. There was one room had no water, the toilet wasn't flushing, but we're like, you know what, at least we're together, so let's just stick together. So that was on our way to Semera. And then
The next morning, we leave Awash and we wanted to reach a town called Semera. It's in the northern part. It was going to be our base for a lot of, activities we wanted in the northern part of Ethiopia. And that morning we left early and we just said, let's push it and let's have breakfast in an hour or two. We tried to put in the GPS coordinates of the place we were going. It was not working. So we just figured this is the right road. So we took off on the right road. And we were on the right road.
And we got lost. Like 100 kilometers in, we're like, where are we? We've not seen this sign for Semera. So that's how we knew we were lost.
It was so discouraging. So we quickly looked at each other. And they look at each other for whose fault was this? And everybody was looking at me because I was responsible to be able to check the GPS coordinates. So my head was hung, to be honest. I felt I'd let the team down and I'd subjected the team to a very bad detour.
So I'm not going to call it lost. I'm just going to say it's a 100-kilometer detour. And we got to have nice tea and nice coffee and nice eggs and bread and chapati. And then we had to ride back 100 kilometers back to Awash because that signpost was literally like 10 kilometers when you're leaving Awash that for us to head to Semera. So we had to come back to Awash for us to go to Semera.
So that day we did about 800 kilometers. We got to Semera late in the evening. Luckily our hotel, got a nice place to stay and rest. We were particularly looking forward to the day after because that's when we were supposed to tour the Danakil Depression, which is a very unique feature. In Africa generally, they say the Danakil Depression is the hottest place on earth. It's also one of the lowest places on earth.
We went to Lake Afdera first of all. It's a salty lake. And then from there I went to the volcanic mountain called Mount Etale. And that day, literally, it started spewing lava.
It was a spectacle. I had never seen an active volcano. I've heard about it in Congo, in the eastern part of Congo, etc. A volcano that actually erupts and you can see lava. I mean, hey, it's just those things for, Nat Geo. We were on Nat Geo mode.
So we really enjoyed that. And then we slept under the night sky at night, which was super interesting. We watched the sunrise in the morning by a beautiful salt. It's a salt lake as well, right? Yeah, it's a salt lake. It's pure salt. So the reflection is amazing when the sun is coming out. Once again, Samsung really captured that place so well. It looked so live and just so unreal. But that was cool. And then that was Semera.
So on that day, we woke up early, excited to go to Djibouti. Already made the calls on the other side. We were in touch with the ambassador on the consulate on the Djibouti side. They were excited to receive us. They had also made plans to host us. So yeah, it was exciting. Woke up early in our hotel in Semera. Had breakfast. It was roughly 100 kilometers to the border from where we slept. So we knew in the next 1.5 hour stops we'll be at the border. Give it another 2 hours to clear. So by noon latest, we are crossing over to Djibouti. So yeah, so got up early. On our way to Djibouti, we got arrested.
Yeah, and I am the troublemaker. I didn't intend to, but so we're leaving our hotel in Semera. We prayed as usual, got ready to leave for Djibouti. So just as we're leaving the hotel, there was a traffic police right there. So he blew his whistle, but then Rev Nick was first, so he went. I was right behind, he blew the whistle again. And I literally even stood up on the bike and I waved at him, because I thought he's saluting us, all the other cops had been saluting us before. So I thought he also got the memo,
Havana talks to us on the intercom and said, hey, we are celebs. That cop is waving at us and he's even blowing a whistle. So us guys are like, wow. So what we didn't know, in Ethiopia, when a traffic cop blows a whistle, it means you stop and stop immediately. So us guys are thinking, Uko, we are celebs as we are riding. So we ride a kilometer ahead. And as we're approaching the barrier, this is the main barrier out of the town, there is a barricade at the barrier and we are stopped by security officers.
And this police comes out and he's so Like, he's so livid, he's so mad. He's like, stop, passport, off engine bike. Like, whoa, what's up? Trying to greet him in Amharic, trying to soften him, but he was not having it. So we gave him our passports, tukajua ni kusha sisi, because now he will hold our passports for as long as he wants and we can't go anywhere,
Then behind us, that same traffic cop comes flying with a tuk-tuk. And then he points at his hat.
You see this? Police, do you know the police in your country? We're like, we do. I'm traffic police. I'm like, all right, I'm sorry.
When I say stop, you... So us guys are wondering, when did that happen?
So he got in the tuk-tuk with the other, border post guy and told us to follow them 3 kilometers away. So now we had to go to the police station. And we were given a room where we start waiting now for the head of the police station to come. So we're trying to ask them why they've stopped us. They're not speaking any English or anything, so it's really hard to communicate, yeah?
I think the language barrier caused all that, because they can't talk to us in any other language. We can't hear what they're saying. So the back and forth got us in some trouble.
The boss came, he spoke to us, asking us what we're doing, trying to explain. I can remember him asking us questions like, how fast does your bike go? And you're wondering, what does that have anything to do with why you have stopped us? Like, it's not making any sense. I think they're just fascinated and looking at the bikes, because they never searched our luggage or anything like that. They never confiscated anything. They had to make a few phone calls here and there. So we end up basically being at the police station for 4 hours.
What we realized is now we're in a different region. That region was not informed that we're coming. So they have to first get information from all the other places we've come through. Then second, the bikes we're riding, they said, even the police bikes there don't ride bikes like this. So who are you guys? So we were quickly suspicious to them. And then we had not helped because we didn't stop when the guy told us to. So we are already defiant, suspicious. I mean, just fill in the blanks. So we sat there and they tried. I mean, after about 2 or 3 hours, I asked them, is there a problem? He said, no, wait. That's the only thing we could hear. Wait. We sat there for 4 hours. When I realized this is getting a bit challenging, we called someone who was helping us in Ethiopia, and he called the regional tourist commissioner. And it's only when that commissioner came to the police station that we got released. It took him about an hour. He came, he talked to them. Finally, we were given back our passports. So in fact, the guy who arrested us wanted to take selfies with us. So
all this time now we're racing against time and we need to get to the border. It was a seamless ride to the border, like less than 100 kilometers, about 95, was it 99? We get to the border of Ethiopia, called Galafi.
Got there, got the border, excited, a bit tired, presented our papers, and that was the first obstruction. So apparently, from the Moyale border, we were to note that we had to cross into Djibouti. So that was a big challenge for us. So it showed that our next point of exit was Moyale. So the back and forth, we tried to call the embassy, tried to call our contacts in Ethiopia. Finally, after a few hours, that was sorted. But by the time we were clearing all that, it was around, I'd say, 5 to 6 p.m. So we thought it would be wise to leave our bikes on the Ethiopian side because we are going to Djibouti and the roads are very bad. So we decided, let's leave our bikes on the Ethiopian side, cross over to Djibouti. Once we are cleared, then now figure out how we'll get the bikes or sort out our logistics on their side.
We packed a few things just for 2 days being in Djibouti, and we went to the border. Getting to the border, there's this guy who was sitting by like a ladder. He asked for our passports, we gave him our passports, and he asked for our e-visa, we gave him our e-visa as well. And all this time he was sending all this information to the immigration officer, wherever he was, I don't know. So at some point he's like, you need to speak to my immigration officer because right now you cannot enter Djibouti. And we're like, why? We don't have machine. We don't have the machine to verify the e-visa. And all this time we're speaking little Amharic, a little bit of English, a little bit of French, and now at some point we just took out translator. So that's how we're communicating. So that feature came in really well, by the way. Thank you, Samsung. At some point I spoke to the immigration boss. He spoke a bit of English and he said it's okay. I told him our consular is waiting 100 kilometers away and they're gonna take us to wherever we need to go to get our e-visa certified. And you're saying it can only be verified from the airport.
So they were telling us to fly to the airport, get them cleared, and then find a way of now crossing, which was something, quite something to be asked to do.
And they were very helpful, to be honest. The border officers at Galafi, I mean, the guy gave us his phone, he used his own airtime, he did everything he possibly could to be able to help us. And then at the end, he just, honestly told us, I don't think you guys can enter Djibouti, simply because our visas were not verifiable at that particular point. It was a very busy border. It's actually the transit point between Djibouti and Ethiopia. Trucks coming in and out, truck drivers. So they'd come give out their Comesa insurance and their IDs, and they'd go. But I did not see in 3.5 hours one person producing a passport, because on that border, passports don't look like they're an item of transaction.
So at that point, around 7 p.m., we just decided to let go of it. It wasn't working.
All right, long day, but we have to go back. There are times we have to go back.
We are going back to the Ethiopian border.
Go back and reorganize, re-strategize.
Now the problem is this: we have been stamped out of Ethiopia. Okay, we are at the Djibouti side. We have not been stamped in. So, as it were, we are hanging. We are nowhere. We are neither in Ethiopia nor Djibouti. Now, for you to understand, do you know how far the Ethiopian border is from the Djibouti border? 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers. Yeah? I mean, it was worlds apart. And in between, there are trucks and trucks and trucks that are parked on the side of the road waiting for clearance. So we looked for a vehicle that we quickly hired to take us back to Ethiopia. We tried to make it back to Ethiopia before they close the immigration, so that they can cancel their stamping us out, so that we are legally back into Ethiopia.
We went, at least luckily we got the officials too there. So we stamped back our passports to the Ethiopian side. Met the guy who was holding our bikes. So we decided, since there is no good accommodation in that area, we'll go back to a hotel which was 100 kilometers away. And by that time it was close to 9 p.m. So we decided, let's have food first. Went, had dinner in some joint around there. Food was really good, surprisingly. Had dinner, then set off around 10:30 to our hotel in Semera.
We did a 1.5 hour ride at night, so we got back to Semera at midnight. Tired, exhausted, discouraged, because country number 2 didn't happen.
That face, it says it all.
Midnight, and it's been a long day. I'm out.
Was there anything to say?
Good night.
Leo?
We're waking up in the next 5 hours to do 700 kilometers.
What we thought was an unfortunate incident actually turned out to be a blessing, because the next morning we got a phone call from the Kenyan embassy in Hargeisa, which is the next place after Djibouti was supposed to get into Somaliland. And they tell us, please do not come. So we asked them why. They're like, there's some new military activity within Somaliland that makes it completely unsafe for you to come in. So they heavily advised that we don't enter. So right there again, the very things I was mentioning, how God just goes ahead of you and stops something before you get into harm's way. So they quickly told us, please do not come. It is not safe right now. Please turn back. We'll advise you when it's actually safe. So it made sense. I think it made sense for us at that point. So we decided, since we had a week ahead of us, that we did not go into Djibouti, did not go into Somaliland. The only option after Djibouti and Somaliland was to go home. So we decided, instead of going home straight, so we said, let's take the long way around to get home. So we decided, it wasn't part of our plan originally. We decided to pass by a very iconic part of Ethiopia, in the northern part of Ethiopia, called Lalibela.
We did a tour of all the churches in Lalibela, and just a history of the church, the Orthodox Church. And yeah, that was very interesting. The churches are made from one piece of rock, so they are carved. They're not joints, it's carved from one piece, which was quite a piece of art. And to be done in those days, it really showed that technology is something that's not recent.
And it was worth it. It was worth it. It's like walking through the corridors of history. It was just amazing. I'm not at deep with history, but somehow it was significant. So I think for us it became a kind of a consolation tour. Like, let's go through there on our way home.
We also got to watch a coffee making ceremony, which was really, really nice. Some of us got to try the Ethiopian local brew, and also the honey wine is called Tej, which was really nice. It was a really good experience.
And then after that, we rode again through Addis. And at that point, we just wanted to ride home. We wanted to, make it back home to have some time with our families before the next leg itself. Yeah.
I have seen people being more circumspective, thinking through. I mean, the reason we are still here now is because we have decided to basically, cross those T's and dot those I's, make sure you get all those visas, even where we were expecting not to require visas. Just get them, make sure that you've confirmed that where you need or where you don't need.
The other lesson that's crucial, I understood, is having network and people on the road everywhere we go would be very, very key. And since I work with most African bikers and leaders, I intentionally began to reconnect with them.
Pack less clothes. Yeah, because most of the time you're on your riding gear. So that's one thing I noticed. Less clothes, medication, if you're on medication, small things, anything for the stomach, for headaches, to carry that. Service kits, I think we had we had 2 punchers in Ethiopia. So yeah, be ready for anything in terms of bike service.
Now I'm ready, looking forward to get on the road. I've not done any modifications on the bike apart from extending my stand a bit more, my side stand. So let's hope the falling will reduce. Yeah, and I'm really excited to just enjoy the terrains, and continue being an inspiration for other people out there, continue raising money for the Logos Foundation.
Blixen's accidents also a wake-up call, just to remember that while we are doing this, and it's a passion that we all like, it's something that we all find a lot of fun, that there is some danger in it. So I found myself praying a little more for the trip.
What has really been in my heart is the cause as to why. I know adventure was really a huge part of it, but staying in the cause for it's fine. I might not be on the ride, I might not be on the road, but it's a huge commitment that you have made. I think that thing for it's 50 million, it's not 5 million. And it would be so disappointing if 5 months down the line we come back and we've only raised 5 million. And I think the lesson I am taking is how will I be more present to ensure that I stick to the commitment of the cause.
I've also learned the lesson that, God has already gone ahead of us in this trip. So just be eyes wide open to see the people that He has already placed before us, either to help us, to be able to assist us, to be able to, navigate the different terrains in Africa. But again, I think what I would say is the biggest lesson: nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by chance. Everything that we have gone through has a sense of purpose and has had a sense of purpose. And unfortunately, you only realize the purpose afterwards, but nothing happens by accident. There's a reason why it's actually happened. Yeah.